After purchasing the Louisiana Territory from France in 1803, Thomas Jefferson commissioned an expedition to explore the newly acquired lands. Led by Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, the Corps travelled nearly 8,000 miles, reaching the Pacific Ocean and passing just north of Wyoming. On their way back, a member of the expedition, a skilled hunter and tracker, John Colter, was honourably discharged to join fur trappers heading west. Colter travelled alone through what is now northwestern Wyoming, becoming the first documented Euro-American to explore the Yellowstone region. His reports were so wild, boiling earth, hissing steam vents, smouldering hills, that most Americans thought he was exaggerating or hallucinating. And the region he described was dubbed Colter's Hell. Decades later, another skilled mountain man, Jim Bridger, ventured into Yellowstone, telling stories of rivers that ran so hot you could boil meat in them, and geysers that erupted like cannons. At the time, people laughed off these stories as mountain man exaggerations. In fact, Bridger's tales helped cement the popular belief that Yellowstone was just another myth of the frontier. Following routes set by the Lewis and Clark expedition, the Oregon Trail was established in the 1830s. A 2,000-mile journey that carried hundreds of thousands of pioneers westward across the continent. A prominent landmark along the way was Independence Rock. Many of the emigrants carved their names on it. And the rock was described as the Register of the Desert. Another popular stop for travellers was Fort Laramie. Founded as a private trading post, by the 1850s it had become a bustling frontier town. Fort Laramie was central to important treaties between the US government and Native American tribes in 1851 and 1868. By the late 1870s, with native tribes forcibly removed and railroads replacing wagon trails, Fort Laramie's importance faded. Today, it's preserved as a National Historic Site. In 1871, a survey of Yellowstone by geologist Ferdinand Hayden finally confirmed much of what Jim Bridger had said, and his legacy was re-evaluated. It turned out that the man dismissed as a teller of tall tales had been one of the earliest white witnesses to the geothermal phenomena in the region. Thanks largely to Hayden's work, Yellowstone became the first national park in the world in 1872. It was set aside for the benefit and enjoyment of the people. The park sits atop a massive active supervolcano, which last erupted about 640,000 years ago, forming a large caldera. Yellowstone covers over 2.2 million acres, larger than Rhode Island and Delaware combined. Due to ongoing volcanic activity, the site experiences up to 3,000 small earthquakes a year, and the land here constantly rises. Well over half of the world's geysers are in Yellowstone, and lava flows from past eruptions cover most of the land area. Deep in the heart of the national park, one geyser stands above the rest. Not for its size, but for its remarkable reliability. This is Old Faithful. Every 60 to 110 minutes, thousands of gallons of boiling water erupt into the sky, reaching heights of up to 180 feet. The blast lasts up to 5 minutes, and it all begins just beneath the surface, where Yellowstone's volcanic heat turns underground water into powerful steam. Discovered and named in 1870 by the Washburn expedition, Old Faithful earned its name by doing what no other geyser reliably does, erupting like clockwork. Rangers can even predict its next eruption within 10 minutes, a rare feat in the wild world of geothermal activity. In most rivers, you expect cold, clear water rushing over pebbles, but in Yellowstone, things are different. Unlike typical mountain rivers fed by snowmelt, the Firehole River is charged with geothermal energy. Its waters warmed by hot springs. The name Firehole dates back to the 1800s, when early trappers saw plumes of steam rising from the river, giving the illusion of flames on the surface. Water temperatures in the Firehole can reach 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Its warmth comes from hundreds of thermal features that drain directly into it. Surprisingly, life thrives here. The river supports a healthy population of rainbow and brown trout. In the heart of Yellowstone's Midway Geyser Basin, a vast turquoise blue pool steams under the open sky. This is Excelsior, once one of the most violent geysers on Earth. Now a quietly simmering crater of scalding water and mist. In the brilliant blue center, the water temperature exceeds 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and the area around is fragile and unstable. Excelsior was not always still. In the 1880s, it erupted with incredible force, shooting boiling water over 300 feet into the air, higher than Old Faithful. But after years of violent activity, the geyser fell silent. Today, it no longer erupts explosively. But it hasn't gone cold. Instead, it has become a boiling hot spring, discharging more than 4,000 gallons of water per minute into the Firehole River. Just beyond the steaming crater of Excelsior Geyser lies one of the most stunning natural wonders on Earth, the Grand Prismatic Spring. At over 370 feet wide and more than 120 feet deep, It's the largest hot spring in the United States. From above, it looks almost surreal. A glowing blue center surrounded by vivid rings of green, yellow, orange, and red. The deep blue in the center is pure, scalding water, too hot for most organisms to survive. But as the water cools toward the edges, it becomes home to thermophilic bacteria, adapted to extreme heat. These microscopic lifeforms create the vibrant outer rings, each color reflecting a different species adapted to a specific temperature range. Leaving the brilliant colors of Grand Prismatic Spring behind, we journey north into Yellowstone's most extreme geothermal landscape, the Norris Geyser Basin. This is the oldest and most volatile thermal area in the park, a place where the ground breathes and bubbles. Acidic steam rises from fissures in the earth. Pools hiss and churn with a ghostly white hue. The terrain here is constantly changing. New features appear, old ones vanish, and geysers erupt without warning. At the heart of this basin is Steamboat Geyser, the tallest active geyser in the world. When it erupts, unpredictably, it can blast water over 300 feet into the air. At first glance, Yellowstone Lake seems calm. A vast expanse of blue nestled among forested hills and distant peaks. But beneath its quiet surface lies a hidden world of fire and transformation. Covering more than 130 square miles and sitting at an elevation of almost 8,000 feet. Yellowstone is the largest high-elevation lake in North America. On the western edge lies a place where volcanic heat rises from beneath the waves. The West Thumb Geyser Basin. It's one of the most scenic geothermal areas in the park, where boiling springs and steaming vents sit just steps from the shoreline. But this peaceful setting hides a fiery origin. West Thumb is actually a volcanic crater, a small caldera formed by an eruption over 150,000 years ago. Here, geothermal activity doesn't just surround the lake, it extends beneath it. As deep under Yellowstone Lake's surface, hydrothermal vents and fumaroles release scalding water and gases. Born high in the Absaroka Mountains, the Yellowstone River cuts a winding path through the heart of the park. Stretching nearly 700 miles from its headwaters to the confluence with the Missouri River, it is the longest undammed river in the contiguous United States. Fed by snowmelt and alpine streams, the river gathers strength as it flows through Yellowstone Lake. Picking up speed afterwards, it meanders through meadows and forests. Attracting grizzly bears that come to feed on fish or search for prey. But the most incredible moment comes where it collides with ancient volcanic rock. Carving one of Yellowstone's greatest wonders, the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. It stretches for over 20 miles, plunging up to 1,200 feet deep. The walls blaze with yellow, orange, and red hues. Colours born from hydrothermal activity that altered the rock over thousands of years. These vibrant tones are what gave Yellowstone its name. At the heart of the canyon, the river thunders over two dramatic waterfalls. The upper falls drops 109 feet. But it's the lower falls, at 308 feet tall, that steals the show. It's nearly twice the height of Niagara, and the roar of crashing water echoes through the gorge. The water's force has helped carve the canyon over centuries, aided by glacial melt and erosion. In the wide, grassy expanse of Lamar Valley, the unmistakable silhouettes of American bison dominate the landscape. These massive animals, some weighing up to 2,000 pounds, are the Yellowstone's most iconic species. Here, they move in herds across the open plain, grazing on native grasses resting near the river. Yellowstone's bison represent one of the last free-ranging, genetically pure herds in the United States. Unlike many bison populations, they have never been domesticated and still follow ancient migration patterns within the park. In summer, bison gather in large numbers. The males, or bulls, compete for dominance during the mating season. In winter, bison endure the cold with thick coats and strong muscles that allow them to push through deep snow in search of food, often using their heads to reach the grass below. Lamar Valley played a central role in the reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone in 1995. Today, It's one of the best places in the world to see wild wolves. Named after the tallest peak in the range at nearly 14,000 feet, Grand Teton National Park is defined by jagged peaks and wide sagebrush valleys. Unlike the eroded older mountains nearby, the Teton Range is young and sharp. It rose around 9 million years ago due to fault activity, with no foothills to soften the transition. The result is a steep, sudden rise of granite walls directly above the Jackson Hole Valley. One of the most scenic mountain profiles in North America, the park protects more than 300,000 acres of wilderness. Visitors can explore over 200 miles of hiking trails, watching wildlife in open meadows and wetlands. Moose are one of the park's most recognizable residents. They're the largest members of the deer family, often standing over 6 feet tall at the shoulder, with massive antlers on the bulls. Black bears and grizzly bears also roam the park. Grizzlies are larger and have a distinct shoulder hump. While black bears are more common and vary in colour. They feed on everything from berries and roots to fish and carrion. In spring and fall, bears particularly active, foraging to build up fat reserves for winter hibernation. Out on the open plains, you might spot the pronghorn, the fastest land animal in North America. Often mistaken for antelope, pronghorn can run up to 60 miles per hour using their speed to escape predators. Located near the base of the Teton Range, Jenny Lake spans roughly 1,200 acres and reaches depths of over 250 feet. Formed by glacial activity during the last ice age, it occupies a U-shaped valley carved by ice thousands of years ago. As glaciers advanced and retreated, they scoured the landscape, leaving behind a basin that filled with meltwater. The lake is named after Jenny Lee, a Shoshone woman and the wife of 19th century trapper Richard Lee. The couple assisted early expeditions in the area, and the lake's name honours Jenny's presence and contribution to the park's early history. Today, Jenny Lake serves as a central hub for visitors exploring the park. A paved pathway leads down to the lake's edge, where you can hike, launch canoes, or take a boat ride. Unlike Jenny Lake, which was formed solely by glacial activity, Jackson Lake was enlarged by the construction of a dam in the early 1900s. Located in the northern section of the national park, it sits at an elevation of almost 7,000 feet and covers an area of approximately 25,000 acres. The dam was built to store irrigation water for farmlands in Idaho as part of the federal Minidoka project. Jackson Lake is fed by several rivers, most notably the Snake River, which also flows out from its southern end. The surrounding mountains, including Mount Moran, rise sharply from the lake's western shore, creating some of the most iconic views in the entire Teton Range. Jackson Lake is a central hub for water-based recreation in the park. Boating and fishing are popular activities here during the summer months. The Snake River is the lifeline of Grand Teton National Park. A winding, powerful waterway that defines the landscape. Originating in the highlands of western Wyoming, it flows over 1,000 miles before merging with the Columbia River and eventually reaching the Pacific Ocean. Within the national park, the river enters from Jackson Lake, fed by glacial runoff and mountain streams. From there, it curves and bends through the Jackson Hole Valley, flowing southward past meadows and forests. One of the most iconic views of the river is found at the Snake River Overlook, made famous by Ansel Adams' 1942 photograph. In winter, the river continues to flow, even as snow blankets the surrounding valley. It becomes quieter, but no less important, providing open water for wildlife. East of the Teton Range, in a wide open stretch of the Antelope Flats, snow-capped Tetons rise behind rustic wooden barns and fences of Mormon Row. The site was settled in the 1890s by Mormon homesteaders from Idaho. Seeking fertile land and the opportunity to farm, they established a small community called Gravont. Unlike isolated homesteads typical in the American West, homes and buildings on Mormon Row were clustered together. Today, several historic structures still stand. Most notably the Molten Barns, with its steep roofline and weathered wood, set against the towering Grand Teton. Down the road, the John Moulton homestead includes a pink stucco house, a granary, and other original outbuildings from the early 20th century. Mormon Row lets us imagine what life was like here over a century ago. When roads were dirt, winters were long, and every harvest depended on hard work and a little luck. Tucked away in the northern reaches of the Wind River Range, the Green River Lakes are a hidden gem, remote and serene. These two alpine lakes mark the source of the Green River, which will eventually merge with the Colorado River and help carve the Grand Canyon far to the south. Set within the Teton National Forest, the lakes lie at an elevation of about 8,000 feet and are surrounded by striking wilderness. Towering over the northern lake is Square-Top Mountain. One of the most iconic and recognizable summits in the Wind River Range. Its flat-topped silhouette dominates the skyline and reflects perfectly in the still waters below. The lakes are glacial in origin, formed by ancient ice flows that once carved through the valley. Green River lakes may not be as famous as the Tetons or Yellowstone, but they offer a different kind of experience, quieter and more personal. In the grasslands of northeastern Wyoming, one formation rises far above the rest. A solitary column of rock known as Devil's Tower. Standing 867 feet tall from base to summit, it's the eroded core of an ancient volcano. Its surface lined with vertical cracks and columns that formed as molten magma cooled deep underground. Over millions of years, softer surrounding rock wore away, leaving behind the tower we see today. Geologists estimate Devil's Tower formed around 50 million years ago. But the land around it holds a much longer cultural memory. For many Native American tribes, this is a sacred place. One widely shared legend tells of children chased by a giant bear. The bear's claws, it's said, left the deep grooves we still see along the tower's flanks. In 1906, Devil's Tower became the first national monument in US history. Unlike the explosive force of geysers, Mammoth Hot Springs is defined by motion you can't quite see. A slow, steady sculpting of stone by hot water and time. Superheated groundwater, rich in calcium carbonate, rises from beneath the Earth's crust and flows over the surface. As it cools, it deposits travertine, a form of limestone that builds up into terraces, mounds, and shallow pools. The result is a landscape that looks almost otherworldly. White as bone in some places, tinted orange or green in others, shaped like frozen waterfalls. Mammoth's terrace formations are constantly evolving. Some areas dry up as new springs emerge nearby, creating a patchwork of active and dormant zones. These terraces aren't just shaped by geology, they're also coloured by thermophiles. Heat-loving microorganisms that live in the flowing water, painting the rock in shades of rust, yellow and brown. In the remote southern reaches of Wyoming's Red Desert, A hidden cluster of rock formations rises from the barren landscape. The Honeycomb Buttes. This isolated region, shaped by erosion, time and wind, feels like a secret corner of the earth. Its soft, multicoloured sandstone cliffs are carved into bizarre shapes, pocketed and pitted like coral, earning the name honeycomb. The buttes are remnants of ancient riverbeds and floodplains, formed over 50 million years ago. Layers of red, tan and yellow rock reveal a geological story that stretches back to the Eocene epoch, when subtropical forests once covered what is now high desert. Over time, rain, frost and relentless wind sculpted the stone into intricate patterns. Alcoves, overhangs, and weathered columns. The Honeycomb Buttes are almost entirely undeveloped. There are no paved roads, no visitor centres, only quiet isolation and dramatic scenery. To the southwest, the desert hides another unexpected phenomenon. The Kilpecker Sand Dunes, the largest active dune systems in North America. Stretching for more than 55 miles, the dunes are in constant motion. Strong Wyoming winds sweep across the landscape, pushing sand grains into rolling hills and sharp ridges. These dunes are considered active, meaning they are not fixed in place. Some move as much as 30 feet per year. But this is no lifeless wasteland. The area is home to a population of wild horses, descendants of animals that once roamed with early explorers and ranchers. On the edge of the dunes stands the boar's tusk. A volcanic remnant that rises above the sea of sand. Just like Devil's Tower, it's the hardened core of an ancient volcano. The last remaining piece of a geologic structure that erupted millions of years ago. Made of tough, erosion-resistant lamproite, Boar's Tusk has survived while the surrounding land wore down. Its dark, craggy silhouette contrasts with the pale tones of sand dunes that stretch out around it. Geologists believe Boar's Tusk dates back 2.5 million years. Placing it among the oldest volcanic features in the region. In the far southwest corner of Wyoming lies a quiet plateau with an extraordinary secret. Fossil Butte National Monument preserves one of the richest fossil deposits on Earth. a snapshot of life from 50 million years ago. During the Eocene epoch, a vast freshwater lake, known as Fossil Lake, teemed with wildlife and lush vegetation. Over millions of years, layers of fine sediment at the lake's bottom buried and preserved their remains in astonishing detail. Today, the limestone beds of the monument reveal an incredible diversity of life. Fossils of delicate fish show every fin and scale. Insects are captured with their wings intact. Even the soft outlines of leaves and feathers remain. The monument spans over 8,000 acres, protecting both the fossil beds and the surrounding high desert landscape. Suddenly rising from wide prairies, Bighorn National Forest is a rugged island of mountains and wilderness, covering over 1.1 million acres. At lower elevations, open grasslands and sagebrush steppe give way to dense pine and spruce forests. Higher still, the trees thin, revealing wildflower meadows that blaze with colour in summer. Above the tree line, the land turns to a windswept world of rock and sky. Where patches of snow linger well into July. Glacial forces have left their mark, carving cirques, U-shaped valleys, and hundreds of mountain lakes. In contrast, erosion has sculpted dramatic formations like Shell Canyon, with its sheer walls and roaring waterfalls. On the eastern edge of Yellowstone, where the plains meet the mountains, lies Cody, a town built on the spirit of the American frontier. Founded in 1896 by the legendary showman and scout William Cody, it was intended as a living embodiment of the Wild West. Nicknamed Buffalo Bill, Cody was a hunter and world-traveling entertainer. Whose Wild West shows brought the romance and drama of the frontier to audiences across America and Europe. His vision for the town was to create a place that combined modern comforts with the adventure of the West. One of Cody's most captivating historic sites is Old Trail Town, a collection of 19th century frontier buildings Here, visitors can walk boardwalks past original cabins, saloons and general stores from the era of cowboys and outlaws. Among them is the cabin used by the infamous Butch Cassidy, and the grave of mountain man Jeremiah Johnston. Tucked away in southwestern Wyoming lies Piedmont. A quiet ghost town that once thrived in the days of the Transcontinental Railroad. Founded in the late 1860s, Piedmont was a supply stop for the Union Pacific Railroad, its life tied directly to the tracks that ran nearby. It was also a stopping point for stagecoaches and freighters moving goods across the frontier. Families built lives here, raising children in the shadow of the railroad and the surrounding hills. When the railroad later bypassed the town, Piedmont's fortunes faded, leaving behind weathered buildings. On the outskirts of the town, 3 stone kilns built in 1869 were used to turn local timber into charcoal. Each kiln could hold 30 cords of wood, burning for days under controlled heat to produce the lightweight, high-energy charcoal prized in the era. Stretching along the eastern edge of Yellowstone National Park, the Absaroka Mountains form one of the wildest ranges in the Rockies. These peaks rise in dramatic, jagged ridges, many over 12,000 feet high. Unlike the granite cores of many Rocky Mountain ranges, the Absarokas are the remnants of massive eruptions that shook the region in prehistoric times. The result is a landscape of dark cliffs, broken spires, and colourful badlands contrasting with the alpine meadows and forests in the high country. For centuries, the mountains have been a place of significance for native peoples, including the Crow Nation. Later, trappers and early explorers passed through these rugged corridors, often finding them as unforgiving as they were beautiful. High on the cliffs and ridges of the Absaroka Mountains, life has adapted to the extremes. Among the most iconic residents are bighorn sheep, masters of balance and agility. With their massive curling horns and sure-footed steps, they navigate steep rocks where few predators can follow. Their survival depends on these heights, where they can spot danger from a distance and escape in seconds. Lower in the valleys and alpine meadows, elk move in seasonal migrations. Travelling between summer grazing grounds. In autumn, the mountains echo with the sound of bugling bulls competing for mates. From the peaks of the Absaroka Mountains, the landscape gently descends into one of Wyoming's lesser-known wild places, Sunlight Basin. Nestled in the northwestern corner of the state, this broad valley unfolds beneath steep cliffs, shaped by the winding Clark's Fork. The basin's wide, gentle valleys give a sense of spaciousness rare in the more rugged terrain nearby. Rivers and streams thread through the landscape, reflecting sunlight off their clear waters. Accessible only by rough, unpaved roads, Sunlight Basin remains remote and largely untouched by modern development. It offers visitors a true sense of solitude and wilderness, where the grandeur of Wyoming's backcountry can be experienced away from the crowds. As you leave the open valleys of Sunlight Basin, the journey takes you over one of the state's most remarkable engineering feats. The Sunlight Creek Bridge. Spanning a deep gorge, it's the highest road bridge in the state, soaring nearly 280 feet above the riverbed below. Completed in the mid-1980s, its graceful curves and sturdy concrete arches blend with the surrounding landscape. Nestled between two mountain ranges, the broad and fertile Star Valley stretches roughly 40 miles long. Its name is said to come from early settlers who were struck by the incredible night skies visible in the area. Far from city lights, the valley's clear, dark skies offered breathtaking views of stars and constellations. Star Valley has long been home to farming and ranching communities. And the winding Salt River that runs through it provides a vital water source for agriculture and wildlife. The valley floor itself is a patchwork of green pastures, farmland, and rippling meadows nourished by the river. Clear streams and small wetlands dot the area, supporting diverse plant life. This blend of fertile lowlands and mountain vistas creates a varied landscape unique to western Wyoming. Located near the centre of Star Valley, Afton is the valley's largest town and a key hub for the surrounding rural communities. Founded in the late 19th century by Mormon settlers, Afton retains a strong connection to its pioneer roots. The town is known for its friendly atmosphere, local shops and cultural events that bring residents and visitors together. Afton's most famous landmark is the world's largest elk antler arch. A unique structure built entirely from antlers collected from the nearby forests. Cheyenne, the capital of Wyoming, was founded in 1867 during the construction of the Union Pacific Railroad. The city grew quickly as a key stop along the transcontinental route. A large outdoor Western celebration, Cheyenne Frontier Days, is held here every July. This event draws visitors from around the globe for its rodeo competitions and parades, preserving the area's cowboy traditions. In the city centre stands the Wyoming State Capitol, completed in 1890, the same year Wyoming entered the Union. The neoclassical building is crowned with a gold-leafed dome, reflecting the state's ambitions at the threshold of statehood. The Union Pacific Depot tells another side of Cheyenne's story. Its Romanesque sandstone walls once welcomed travellers on the Transcontinental Railroad. Today, it houses the Cheyenne Depot Museum, preserving the era when railroads forged the city's destiny. At Vedawu, massive granite rock formations are scattered across a forested landscape. These large, rounded boulders were formed over millions of years through natural erosion. The name comes from the Arapaho language, meaning earthborn or land of the earthborn rocks. A fitting description for this otherworldly terrain. It is a popular destination for rock climbing, with routes suitable for beginners and experienced climbers. Narrow paths thread between huge granite blocks, some balance precariously, others piled high like a giant's playground. And the dense pine and aspen forests add vibrant greens and golds. And here we say farewell to Wyoming. If you loved this journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more stories from around the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep discovering the magic of our planet.